Salient features of the Indian Constitution. The Indian Constitution is unique for its eclectic nature. That means combining together, borrowing the best features from various world constitutions while remaining rooted in Indian reality. It is the longest written constitution in the world, featuring a blend of rigidity and flexibility, a parliamentary form of government, and a federal system with a unitary bias, quasi federal. The preamble is an introductory statement that encapsulates the philosophy and fundamental values of the Constitution. It is known as the identity card of the Constitution. The keywords are sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic, justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. It declares India as a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. It secures justice, social justice, economic justice, and political justice. Liberty, liberty of thought, liberty of expression, liberty of belief, faith, and worship. Equality, equality of status and equality of opportunity. And promotes fraternity. It is considered as the soul of the Constitution. It serves as a guide for the interpretation of the Constitution. In the Keshava Bharati case in 1973, the Supreme Court ruled that the preamble is a part of the Constitution and can be amended, provided the basic structure remains intact. While not legally enforceable, the preamble serves as a guidelight and a key to understanding the intent of the framers. In cases where the language of the constitutional article is ambiguous, the Supreme Court uses the ideals and philosophy enshrined in the preamble to interpret the provision. Fundamental rights. Directive principles of state policy and fundamental duties. This triad forms the conscience of the Constitution. Fundamental rights. It belongs to the part 3 of the Constitution, that means Article 12 to Article 35. The nature is negative obligations. It prohibits state from doing certain things. It is justiciable, means enforceable by courts, and the goal is political democracy. So fundamental rights are rights guaranteed to the citizens and in some cases to all persons and are justiciable. They aim to establish a political democracy. The majority, the most important key rights are from Article 14 to 32. Right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational rights, and the vital right to constitutional remedies, that is Article 32. As I said, they impose negative obligations on the state, meaning they restrict the government from doing certain things, like infringing on an individual's liberty. When coming to the directive principles of the state policy. It belongs to the part 4. That means from Article 36 to Article 51. Sorry. So these are, guidelines or instructions given to the state to be kept in mind while framing laws and policies. They are positive obligations, they guide state to do certain things. They are non-justiciable. That means they cannot be enforceable by courts. And the goal is social and economic democracy. That means they aim to establish an economic and social democracy and a welfare state. They are non-justiciable, meaning a citizen cannot approach the court if they are not implemented. They impose positive obligations on the state, requiring it to take steps to achieve certain goals, like securing a uniform civil code or promoting the welfare of the people. So it's generally classified into socialistic, Gandhian, and liberal intellectual principles. Now let's see the relation between fundamental rights and directive policies. Directive principles. They are complementary and supplementary to each other, forming the conscience of the Constitution. See, fundamental rights guarantee individual liberty, while directive principles promote the welfare of the entire society. One without the other is incomplete. Fundamental rights without directive principles are hollow, and directive principles without fundamental rights are toothless. Initially, for example, in the Champakam Durai Ranjan case in 1951, the Supreme Court held that fundamental rights would prevail over directive principles. However, later judgments, like in Keshav Bharati case in 1973 and Minerva Mills case in 1980, established a doctrine of harmonious construction, emphasizing that the two parts must be balanced and work together to achieve the constitutional goal of a just society. So the Supreme Court in the Minerva Mills case held that the Constitution is founded on the bedrock of the balance between fundamental rights and directive principles. Now, coming to fundamental duties, which is contained in the Part 4A, that means Article 51A. These were introduced or were added by the 42nd Amendment Act of 1976 based on the Swaran Singh Committee report or recommendations. And there are currently 11 duties. They are moral obligations for the citizens to promote a spirit of patriotism and uphold the unity of India. So the key duties, that means Article 51A tells you to abide by the Constitution, cherish noble ideals of the freedom struggle, uphold sovereignty, unity, and integrity of India, promote harmony and common brotherhood, protect public property, and strive towards excellence. So the nature is that they are also non-justiciable like directive principles, but the court can use them to uphold the constitutional validity of a law. Now, coming to the structure of government, that is union and state. The Indian system follows a separation of powers between three wings: executive, legislature, and judiciary. So uh, the executive and the legislature. In the union level, president is a nominal head. Prime Minister and Council of Ministers, real head. And Parliament, Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. That is a union level. And coming to state level, governor nominal, chief minister and council of ministers real, and state legislature, Vidhan Sabha and Vidhan Parishad. Then coming to the judiciary, a single hierarchy of courts, Supreme Court, then High Court, then subordinate courts to enforce both union and state laws. So you must be very careful in realizing the difference between the executive, legislature, and judiciary. So in the executive, president is a nominal head. Prime Minister and Council of Ministers, real head. They implement laws. Then coming to the state level, governor is a nominal head. Chief Minister and Council of Ministers, real head, and they also implement laws. Now coming to the legislature, in union level, Parliament is bicameral. Lok Sabha is the House of the People and Rajya Sabha, Council of the States. They enact laws. And coming to the state level of legislature, state legislature may be unicameral or bicameral. Then there is Vidhan Sabha, that is Legislative Assembly, and Vidhan Parishad, that is Legislative Council in some states. They also enact laws. Then coming to judiciary, Supreme Court of the India, that is Apex Court, interprets the constitution, laws and exercises and judicial review. Then coming to state level, high courts in state, followed by subordinate courts. That means there are district and sessions courts. Integrated system, and they enforce both central and state laws. Okay, I think the confusion is over, if there is. Now coming to some there are some other constitutional authorities. These bodies derive their power and mandate directly from the Constitution to ensure free and fair governance, accountability, and fiscal management. That is the Election Committee of India, Article 324. It conducts elections to Parliament, state legislatures, and the offices of the President and Vice President. Then there is Controller and Auditor General, Article 148, the Chief Auditor of the accounts of the Union and state governments, ensuring public financial accountability. Then there is Union Public Service Commission, that is from Article 315 to 323. It conducts examinations for all India and central services and advises the President on recruitment. And there is Finance Commission, Article 280. It recommends the distribution of tax revenues between the union and the states. Now coming to center-state relations, Part 11 and Part 12. Okay, the Indian Constitution establishes a strong federal system with a unitary bias, meticulously distributing powers between center and state across three domains: legislative, administrative, and financial. So legislative part is the 11th part, and the articles are from 245 to 255. That is the 7th schedule. There is this distribution of power via the union, state, and concurrent list. Union state means the center has exclusive power. State list means state has exclusive power. And the concurrent list means both can legislate, but central law prevails in case of conflict. Now, coming to administrative, this is also part 11, articles from 256 to 263. There is this coordination and control mechanisms. That means the states must comply with central laws and not impede the executive power of the center. The center can give directions to state governments, provisions for all India services, that is IAS, IPS, etc., and appointments of the governor to ensure central influence. Then there is financial, that belongs to part 12, articles 268 to 293. There is this distribution of revenue and the role of the finance commission. That means power to levy taxes is distinctly separated. Parliament for union list, state legislature for state list. The center is obliged to provide grants and aid. Article 275 and 282, and share proceeds from certain taxes with the states. Article 270, ensuring fiscal federalism. Now, there is this part 14 also, that means services under the union and the states. Constitutional basis, article 308 to 323 deals with services under the union and the states. Then doctrine of pleasure, article 310, civil servants hold office during the pleasure of the president for union services or all India services, or the governor for state services. Then safeguards, article 311. It provides protection to civil servants against arbitrary dismissal, removal, or reduction in rank, ensuring the independence and neutrality of the bureaucracy. Then all India services, article 312. Services common to both the union and the states, IAS, IPS, etc. Parliament can create them to maintain uniformity in administration and act as a unifying force in the federal structure. So these are some extra informations. Now coming to emergency and amendment provisions. Emergency provisions belong to the part of 18. So these provisions enable the central government to assume extraordinary powers to deal with abnormal situations, thereby temporarily converting the federal structure into a unitary one. First one is national emergency. That is article 352. It can be due to war, external aggression, or armed rebellion. State governments are brought under the complete control of the center. Fundamental rights except article 20 and 21 can be suspended. Next is state emergency. That means president's rule, article 356. That occurs when failure of the constitutional machinery in a state. State executive and legislative powers are exercised by the center via the governor and the parliament. And finally, the financial emergency, that is article 360. Threat to the financial stability or credit of India. It's never invoked. The center can direct states to observe canons of financial propriety and can order the reduction of salaries of all the government employees. Now coming to the amendment provisions of the Constitution, that belongs to the part 20. Article 368 outlines the procedure for amending the Constitution, embodying a blend of rigidity and flexibility. The Constitution provides 3 ways of amendment: simple majority, special majority, 2/3 of the members present and voting, special majority plus ratification by half of the state legislatures. So, simple majority means required for changes to certain specific provisions. For example, admission or creation of new states. These are not deemed amendments under Article 368. Then, special majority of Parliament. It requires a majority of the total membership of each house and the majority of not less than two-thirds of the members present and voting. It's used for amending fundamental rights, directive principles, etc. Then special majority of parliament plus ratification by half of the state legislatures. It required for amendments that affect the federal structure. That means election of the president, state-center relations, or the power of the Supreme Court and high courts. So the other constitutional authorities I have already told. These are independent bodies created directly by the Constitution to ensure the democratic process remains fair. That is Election Commission, Article 324, Comptroller and Auditor General, Article 148, UPSC and State PSCs, Article 315, and Finance Commission, Article 280. So these are the major things that you need to take care of while going through the salient features of the Constitution. I hope it will be helpful for you. Thank you for watching, and